A bird is standing on the capybara's face, and it just drove its hooked beak into the skin right beside its eye. The capybara doesn't run. It doesn't even blink. It lies flat in the warm mud and lets it happen, because that bird is dragging a blood-swollen tick off its head, one of thousands buried deep in its fur. But here's what the capybara doesn't understand. The same beak that cleans it will also tear open its wounds. This isn't kindness, it's a deal. And every deal out here has a price. For now, the bird is doing exactly what the capybara needs. This is a yellow-headed caracara, a pale cream and brown bird of prey with dark wings, sharp eyes, and a hooked beak built for tearing. It hops along the capybara's broad back, head tilting, scanning the fur like a hunter reading tracks. And everywhere it stops, it finds another target. A fat tick behind the ear, hooked, twisted, and ripped free. A tight cluster on the shoulder, pulled loose one by one. It works its beak into the deep folds of the neck, where the parasites gather thickest, and drags them out with sharp, practiced tugs. Some come easy. Some cling so hard the bird has to brace its feet and pull twice. Each swollen tick vanishes down its throat in a single gulp. For the capybara, buried under weeks of biting, crawling torment, relief finally arrives one tick at a time. But to understand this strange truce, you have to see how bad it had gotten. The capybara is the largest rodent on Earth, and its thick, coarse coat is a paradise for parasites. Ticks bury into the soft folds of its neck. They ring the base of its ears in dark, swollen clusters. They spread down its legs and gather in the joints, where the skin bends and creases with every step. Hundreds of them, maybe more. Each one anchored deep, drinking its blood day and night, never letting go. And the capybara can barely fight back. It shakes its head. It scratches with a clumsy hindfoot. It rubs its flank against reeds and tree bark and cool mud. But the parasites hold fast in the worst places. The ears, the throat, the face are the exact places it can never reach. The itch is constant. It presses on every pause, every breath. So the capybara does the only thing left to it. It walks down to the riverbank, lowers its heavy body into the open and waits, carrying its burden in silence, hoping something will come. Something is already watching. From the reeds at the water's edge, sharp eyes have been tracking the capybara's every move. Not out of pity, but out of hunger. The caracara sees what the capybara cannot. A giant, slow-moving body crawling with easy meals. It drops from its perch and lands a short distance away, then approaches on foot, wings half raised, measuring the enormous rodent with each careful step. This is the moment everything depends on. The bird hesitates at the capybara's shoulder, and the capybara, feeling the danger of a beak that close to its eyes, chooses not to move. That stillness is trust, and trust is exactly what the bird needs to begin. What happens next is strangely satisfying to watch. The caracara hooks its beak around a tick swollen tight and shining with blood, and it pulls until the parasite tears loose with a soft, sudden give, then another. And another. It moves down the spine, parting the fur with quick flicks of its beak, exposing the pale skin underneath and the dark parasites clinging to it. On the capybara's cheek, it finds a big one, a tick blown up round and heavy, and it braces, yanks, and swallows it whole. Then a second bird drops out of the sky, then a third. Soon a small team is spread across the capybara's body, each one working a different patch, stripping the thickest clusters first. Around the ears they work with surgical precision, tugging parasites from folds too tight for anything but a narrow beak. Along the flanks, every bite lifts away another piece of the torment. One bird clears the shoulder, another climbs onto the neck. A third works carefully around the delicate skin of the face, plucking ticks the capybara could never have reached in a lifetime of scratching. Patch by patch, the crowded fur begins to open up, clean skin spreading where the clusters used to be. And for the first time in weeks, the capybara feels its own body again. But watch closely and the pretty picture starts to crack, because these birds were never really loyal. The caracara is not a gentle groomer. It is a bird of prey, and it takes far more than ticks. When it finds an old bite, a scab, a raw, open sore, it doesn't leave it to heal. It pecks at the wound, tearing at the soft edges, feeding on the blood and dead tissue underneath. It even pulls at the fresh bite left behind when a tick comes free, keeping it open, drinking from it. Scientists who study these birds have a blunt word for what they do: cheating. The caracara cleans the capybara, yes, but it also feeds on the capybara. What looks like tenderness is really just hunger wearing a helpful face. And it gets darker, because the caracara is not the only cleaner drawn to that fur. Black vultures come too, hulking, bald-headed scavengers. And they pick ticks from the living capybara with the very same beaks they use to strip the dead. Smooth-billed anis join in, small and black, parting the hair to pull parasites and peck at healing sores. The riverbank fills with cleaners, and not one of them is there to help. The birds grooming the capybara today are the same birds that would gather on its body if it fell tomorrow. And the capybara lies there and lets them all feed. Cleaner, scavenger, predator, it cannot tell them apart. It only knows that the itching stops. So why does it allow any of this? Why lie down in the open and trust a ring of hungry beaks tearing at your skin? Because the ticks are not a maybe. Left alone, they drain the capybara drop by drop, week after week, spreading disease through its blood, stealing its strength, wearing it down until it is too weak and too slow to escape the jaguar waiting in the reeds. The birds are a gamble it might survive. The ticks are a slow death it will not. And so the largest rodent on Earth makes the same brutal trade every single time. Endure the beak or be bled dry. Today, once again, it chooses the beak. Slowly the work pays off. The stubborn clusters are the last to go, but even those begin to disappear under the steady pull of the beaks. Where the shoulders were once crowded, only scattered stragglers remain. The birds move from region to region across the great body, following the parasites, cleaning the neck, the back, the joints, the face, until the capybara's coat starts to look like its own again. The restless twitching fades. The heavy body softens into the mud, and a strange calm settles over the riverbank that wasn't there before. Then, one by one, the cleaners lift off, full, satisfied, their reward already swallowed. They don't look back. The capybara pushes itself up, standing lighter than it has in weeks, in the exact spot where its burden once seemed endless. From a distance, it looks like a beautiful friendship. The gentle giant and the little birds that set it free. But nothing out here is ever that simple. The birds weren't loyal. The capybara wasn't grateful. One side fed on the other, and both of them walked away with exactly what they came for. This was never friendship. It was a trade. Relief for blood, comfort for flesh, one more clean day in exchange for a little more of itself. Out here, even the kindest looking deals are still deals, and in the end, everyone pay.